Hi everybody, Driving with Dane here, coming to you with another short informational video. This time, something a little bit different. I've got a 2021 Jeep Wrangler here. The cool thing about this one, and kind of the subject of today's video, is it is a 6-speed manual. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about how to drive a vehicle with a manual transmission. I'm not going to actually move this one around, but kind of show the basics of it. First things we're going to do is turn it on. So you'll notice up here, the Jeep says push and clutch to start. So I'm going to put my foot on the brake, push the clutch in, and press and hold the start button. Jeep will go ahead and start up, and we're going to go ahead and turn the temperature down so I don't cook myself while I'm in here. And then we're going to turn the fan up a little bit. So first things first, I've got my foot on the clutch, and you can see up here that Jeep says we are in neutral. Modern vehicles are a little bit easier in terms of manual transmissions compared to some of the older ones, which of course don't have any information like this. So the other thing you can see is it says brake. We have the brake on right here. Push this to release, but we're going to leave it on for the moment. So another good way to always tell that a manual transmission vehicle is in neutral, you can move the transmission, or you can move the shift lever freely. So I'm going to go ahead and take my foot off the clutch, and you'll notice idles like normal, doesn't move. Then up here on the top of the shift lever is the shift pattern. So you can see R for reverse, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth gear. Pretty easy. I would say makes a lot of sense. And you'll notice that obviously first is up here, second is down here. So what I recommend you do the first time you get in a manual transmission vehicle, it's really important to have your seat set. I usually like to sit a little bit further forward, just because you're going to have to find out how far the clutch pedal moves. So, you want to make sure you can go all the way down, because if you're just not quite all the way down, like right here and you shift gears, you're going to have a little bit of drag, and you can actually damage the transmission as well, which is, of course, not something you want to do. You'll chew up your clutch. Riding the clutch is, of course, really bad. That's basically where you just kind of keep your foot on it all the time, or you're, what am I trying to say? Not fully engaging it or disengaging it. So the clutch is getting extra friction. But first thing I'd have you do, like I said, is adjust your seat position, make sure you're in a good, comfortable spot, and then push the clutch in or be in neutral, and then you're going to want to just kind of get a feel for it. So for example, in this Jeep, all the way left, there's first gear, there's second gear, come up into neutral over a little bit, that's third, fourth, out, over, fifth, and sixth. Now this will make it a little bit easier because you can see which gear you're in. So I'm in neutral. Now you can see I'm in first or second. Some older vehicles, it was a little bit trickier because first might be right here and second might be right there. Or, they'd be really close together. But kind of get a feel for where the shift position is. That way you can do it when you're not, without looking, because the last thing you want to be doing is going like this, and then you're up at a stoplight and you're like, okay, now, and then you look and you're like, okay, I'm in third or in first, I need to be in second, or having to otherwise look, and you want to just kind of make sure you want to have a feel for it. The other thing you don't want to do, don't rest your hand on this. It can basically just create a little extra strain and wear in the transmission. And then another big one is actually reverse. So you'll notice if I push the clutch in and push this all the way over and go up, I'm in first. So I can't actually, no matter how hard I pull, make this go into reverse unless I put my fingers like this and pull this little red collar up. Then you'll notice the transmission comes over farther. Then I can go into gear, my backup camera comes on, and I get reverse. Now I can pull out of reverse without pulling the collar, and then you'll notice I can't go back into reverse. I have to pull this collar up, which is kind of a good safety feature because that's a really fast way to chew up a transmission. So that's kind of the basics of how to drive a manual. The other big things, of course, are when you're actually driving it, you want to let the clutch off and you'll feel kind of a bite point. Each vehicle's a little bit different. This Jeep, of course, for example, is the bite point in it and the way the clutch and transmission feel is a lot different as compared to like a Mustang or a Camaro. Or, even just some older manual trucks. That Tundra's not a manual, but, some of the older manual trucks are a bit different as well. So kind of get a feel for it. Make sure you start off the road, start in a parking lot or something, and kind of get a feel for it. The other thing is slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So just, make sure that you really kind of have a good feel. Make sure you're fully engaged in gear before you take your foot off the clutch. Just kind of little things like that. Practice makes perfect. And then you'll want to make sure that you're not on the throttle as you're pushing the clutch in or taking the clutch out, but you'll want to slowly get on the throttle as you take your foot out to engage the clutch. So starting out is the hardest part in a manual. Once you're moving, they're really pretty easy. You basically just push the clutch in, put it into gear, and then let the clutch out slowly. As the other big thing, it took me a while to learn. The other cool thing with this Jeep while we're in here is it has a real lever for a transfer case. So not all four-wheel drive vehicles are going to have that. A lot of them are buttons now, but Jeeps and some of your trucks will still have this lever. So you'll notice, of course, all the way forward where we are now is 2 high. That's where you'll drive most of the time. Four-wheel drive high, you just pull straight back, and then you'll actually see over here, you can see we're in 4 high now. And Jeeps this is good and properly stiff. You'll know for sure when you're in there. I would say it makes a good solid connection. If I go over, that's actually over and down is neutral, transfer case neutral. So you would use that like for a flat toe or, if you're stuck, something like that. And then if I went past neutral all the way down, so we're gonna put the clutch in, we have neutral. And then if I go all the way back, you'll notice electronic stability control's off, and now I'm in 4 low. So 4 low is what basically your crawl gear. This is what lets Jeeps crawl over the big rocks, super slow speeds like you see, but you can for sure tell when this is in 4 low. This is not something you want to use on public roads. It's just way too low geared, and you'll go 5 miles an hour at red line in first gear in this. So definitely not for on-road use. Something you're gonna want to do, when you're off-roading. That's the main use case for something like this in a Jeep. If you're on a boat ramp with a truck or something like that, or climbing a really steep hill with a trailer, something like that. And then to go back, you just push. Again, you have to manhandle it, and back up into 2 high, where you'll spend most of your time. That's kind of the basics on it in this Jeep. A little bit different video than I normally do, but let me know if this is helpful. Let me know if you guys like videos like this, what else I should cover. As always, keep driving with Dane. Thanks for your time. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.